Can you hear me?
So usually Trina does it, but the tape's going to kick off. So if it kicks off in a little while and you want to turn it up a little bit, because I'll be out on camera today, just take your finger. Where's the mic? This. Right? You just take your finger this way and it takes the heat up. And if you take your finger this, take it down. Right? Just keep it like somewhere around 70 or 71, somewhere right there, because it's going to go down to 65. So if we're practicing and it feels cold, just we're just yelling at Trina. I'll have to grab for you.
What the hell does that say? Anything you want to do? Mm-hmm. Hmm? Mm-hmm. All right. Low back comes from a couple places, but most of the time it comes from like your hip flexors being tight. So as they start to like pull the belly button forward or the front of your pelvis, like think of if this is your pelvis, right? This would be like your belly button. This would be your pubic bone, right? Your junk's down here. Here's your two sit bones, right? And your spine would come out. It wants to sit up just like this. This would be a neutral pelvis, right? And then as it tilts forward, it would do this, right? And if it tilted back, it would do this. So when it tilts forward, your sit bones go up to the sky, right? And your belly button falls to the floor, right? So what you got to do is, not only do you need to bring your belly button in, but more importantly, you got to engage these hamstrings that are going to be attached right to these sit bones, your ischial tuberosities, your sit bones back here. That's where the hamstring is going to attach. They're going to do this and pull it down. It's why I don't do a lot of hamstring stretches with you all. Like if you notice in my classes, I don't do a lot of hamstring stretches. I do a couple to keep it balanced, but the tension in the back of our hamstrings are what's going to keep the whole thing flowing in the right direction. So if those muscles aren't engaged, right, what's going to happen? These are going to fly up to the sky like this. Now you could push your belly button into your spine all day. It's not going to compete with these hip flexors, right? They're way stronger. So you got to get these hamstrings to pull down as you bring the belly button in, right? So it's kind of like multifold. It's easy to just be like belly button all day, but that's only the top. So when you think of your pelvis today, and this is why I tend to cue you like this, you want to think your pubic bone and your sit bones will be the bottom of your pelvis, the front and the back, right? This is going to be your belly button. This is your sacrum back here, right? So there's front and back. That's how you want to think. So you're always working both sides. Easier said than done? Of course it is, right? Like everything in yoga. But we're going to try it, right? So take a nice seat, close the eyes, sit up tall. You know, I try to always give you the different ways, right? We all learn in different ways. Some of us are able to listen, some of us want to see, right? Some of us do. And that's what I try to give you all. I try to give you all like different ways to understand this. Because understanding it, right, and feeling it is what you take with you. That's what you apply when you practice next time, but that's more importantly, that's what you apply to the yoga of life. Because the yoga doesn't stop and start at the door, right, in the room. It continues. It just manifests in a new place, in a new way. Here in this moment, we're going to practice tuning a little bit deeper to our breath. Doing things like you hear, like listen to yourself breathe. Or the slow down the beginning of the inhale and pushing more into the exhale, or counting out the breath, or finding ujjayi, right? Where is that place that you need to settle into? And that's going to change throughout the practice. Just like when we start to link postures up and our breath comes up and our pace picks up, right? That's the idea. It all flows together. Sit up a little taller, lean back, feel those sit bones root. We talked about those. Pull the belly in just a little bit. Now breathe above the waist. Feel that upper trunk starting to expand, front to back, top to bottom, side to side, all directions. Let the head and the throat settle back. Let the chin come down just a little bit. Feel the shoulders as they're settling. The next inhale, let the arms lift. And the exhale brings the fingertips and the knuckle pads to root. The heels of the hands lightly touch. And one time together to initiate our practice. Together, the sound of Om. All together, deep breath in. We softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. Inhale, lift the head, open the eyes, release the hands. All right, let's start out all fours, hands and knees. So hands an inch or two in front of your shoulders, knees an inch or two behind your hips. Set up that low mountain that we always talk about. Take a look at the hands, right? We want those pointer fingers to be straight forward or turned out a little bit. See, this is them turned in, right? This is where I don't want to be. See what happens? The internal rotation. See the shoulder peel away from my back. When I go this way, right, and I turn out, this is that little action we were talking about in Chaturanga over the past couple weeks. I start to really root back. Now everything's integrated. Keep that there. Charge up the legs. Pull it up into the hips. Keep that there. Bring the belly to the spine. Let the shutters close. Keep that there. Slide the head and the throat back. Bring the chin to the chest just a little bit so your gaze, where you're staring, is right across your fingertips. And now breathe. Organic expansion, right? We're using the breath here to peel ourselves apart. And then when you're ready, cat-cow. Inhale, arch the back, lift the sit bones, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, round the back, look to your belly, lengthen those sit bones towards your heels. Your inhale, arch. And your exhale, round. Linking the movement up with the breath. So 2 or 3 seconds to arch, 2 or 3 seconds to round. That's how long it's going to take us. That's how long we're going to breathe. Couple more here. Just getting that nice undulation through the pelvis. So now you're feeling what we just talked about. You're feeling as the belly falls to the floor and the sit bones lift, right, as the back arches. Then you feel the belly button draw towards the spine and the sit bones lengthen even like to the backs of your knees. And there's that movement through the pelvis. One more, and then come to a neutral position. So find that flat back. Then take the knees back a couple inches and come to puppy dog. I always like this version where the puppy dog where the hips are stacked them on top of the knees. Sometimes you might see this, right? I tend to like this one. This opens up the hip a little bit more here. That other one's really closed in the front of the hip. I like to use this one to try to neutralize a little bit. Now, keep all the charge in the upper body by hugging the hands in and keeping the forearms lifting up and the inner biceps lifting up.
Slide the head and the throat back so your forehead's working away from the mat. Pull the belly and the shutters closed. Now holding on to the energy in the legs, right? So we got a solid foundation. Soften the chest down towards the mat a little bit. So the arms are lifting up, the legs are nice and fiery, the hips are holding and supporting, but then we soften the chest. And there's the peel, come up the arms, come through the chest, the upper back. As you look forward, TP the fingers on the right hand, thread the left hand underneath with the palm up for the twist. Now, stay active here. Keep the arm fiery. Yep. Keep the legs fiery. Keep the hips supporting. But now start to twist a little deeper. Maybe take that right elbow to the sky. Maybe start to look up towards the sky a little bit. And then inhale, come back to center. Soften down the middle. And then when you're ready, TP the fingers on the left hand. Thread the right hand underneath. Keep those hips solid, right? Because we don't want the twist to pull the hip down, because that's going to be below the waist. We want this twist to be in the middle upper back. That's why we want to stay strong in the arms, strong in the legs, so we got good support. And then with the support, what's that going to give us? The ability to go deeper into the pose. Maybe start to look up towards the sky. And then inhale, come back to center. Soften down the middle. Pull the belly in, pull those shutters closed. Next inhale, come up, all fours, hands and knees. Oscillating cat-cow. So now we're going to go around. So we're going to take the hips up, back, and around. And we're going to go forward, under, and down. Up, back, and around. You could even look up. Yep, just clearing that low back right now. Let's do 5. So this is my third one. If it's a little confusing, this is your first time doing this, just take the head out of it, like the upper body. So I just keep my head neutral like this, and I'll just work my hips. I'm using this specifically to get y'all in your lumbar spine, so if that's the case, no problem. Now, this is my last one, so I'm going to pause for a breath, and then I'm going to go side 2. So do 5 the opposite way. Stay with the breath. Feels nice here, taking the vertebrae through their full ranges of motion here. This one here, I mean, it's working muscles because we're moving, but at the same time, we're decompressing through those vertebrae too. Now, this is my last one. When you've balanced both sides out, come to that neutral position. So find that flat back, low mountain. Step back plank. So you can see here, my shoulders are on top of my wrist crease, and you can see what I'm doing with my feet. I'm reaching out on my heels. I don't want to be here yet. I'm going to come to here when I go to my chaturanga. I'm never going to go here, right? That's plantar flexion. So set this up so you're nice and lined up. Now come to downward dog. First dog, you could bend the knees, you could pedal, right? You can swivel a little bit. You just move. I always say soften up the dog a little. And then come to neutral. Now stay strong in those hands. Just like we talked about before, you're clawing the floor. It's like you're trying to spin those like the lids off those jars in opposite directions. That was our little cue we used in that chaturanga a few weeks ago. You're going to feel like that action starts to lift the inner biceps up, and you want that. Now soften the chest towards the mat, but keep the head and the throat sliding forward, right? Opposites. And then inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga. So here's where my feet now go straight up and down. Bend the elbows, yep. Come into cobra, baby cobra. 3 breaths. So you can stay low here. You can come up a little more, but shoulders back and down. When you're ready, lower the chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Now, if it feels better to keep your knees bent in downward dog, you surely can, right? You just keep them here. And this makes the pose a little more accessible. If you want to straighten your legs, keep the hamstrings engaged. So that's where you pull your heels to your butt and your butt to your heels. And then start to reach the leg straight. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra.
Take those 3 breaths. Yeah, keep dragging your hands back to your waist so you pull your belly forward. That's how you keep the low back safe. Then back to chaturanga or lower your chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Right hand to the outside of the left calf. Take the twist here in that downward dog. Inhale, come back to center. Place the hand down, push it down and forward. Then the left can go to the outside of the right. See, if I bend my knees, it certainly makes it more accessible. If I straighten my legs, it makes it a little more challenging. Inhale, unwind. Next inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra. Last time with the 3 breaths. Right, really squeeze that upper back. Wake those muscles up. After the 3 breaths, back to chaturanga or lower your chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Nice, y'all. Reach the right leg straight back. Step it through. Lunge. Then you're nice and high in the fingertips of the blocks. I have this front knee stacked up on top of my ankle. And I want it to track the second toe, the one next to my big toe. So if my knee's falling in, right, I'm going to widen it out. If my knee's blowing out the side, I'm going to hug it in a little bit. Now, if you stay high on the ball of the foot like this, it's going to hold the back leg up. It's going to be a little easier. But if you feel like you can hold this, then you want to reach back. Yep, just like you want to pull the heel back and you want to reach the knee forward. Now keep pushing down. Draw that left hip forward a little bit. Work from root chakra. Pull it all the way up through the crown. And then when you're ready, inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana 1 crescent. Yeah, as your belly comes back, feel your belly move away from your thigh. That's you taking the pelvis back. Now you feel the stretch gets better here? Keep going. Reach up. Yep, maybe curl back. 1 more breath. Inhale, come up, take that left hand across the body. Bring it to the outside of the thigh. Let that right hand meet Anjali Mudra. Now push your hands together. Keep the power in the legs. When you push your hands together, you're going to get power to run through the arms and up through the shoulders and the chest and the upper back. Now use that to twist open. Maybe even start to look up towards the sky. Inhale, come back, warrior 1. 1 more breath. Exhale the hands down. Step back, downward dog. Move through 1 vinyasa. Stay with your breath. And it isn't the kind of thing where, like, as soon as you get back to downward dog, you better be moving through a vinyasa, right? That's not the case. If you need a couple more breaths in downward dog, you take a couple breaths, you set it up, and then you work through your vinyasa. We're all pretty much going to be on the same breath. We'll be behind or forward, just a touch here and there, but we'll all be right around the same time. From downward dog, reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. So if you need a little more lift, you're going to be up here. See, I can still soften this thigh down by staying high on this ball of the foot. It's just going to help me hold the leg up a little bit easier. This is what we're stretching, right? The front of that right thigh, the back of this left hip. But this is what we're talking about today, right? To get to that low back. Now start to push down, right? And starting to hug in. And then I don't just reach back with my heel and forward with my knee, but even with the crown of my head. I even try to keep breathing side to side and opening up. And when you're ready, inhale comes up, Vira 1 crescent. Keep that right hip coming forward. It's going to try to like peel out. So keep sweeping the heel out. Then the hip will come forward. Yeah. Then pull up and take it all the way up. Yep. Maybe curl back into the pose. 1 more breath. That nice opener in the front of that right thigh. Then inhale, come up. Take your left hand. Go across the body so you open up that side body on the right. Yep. Then the hands are going to meet, and you're going to push them together real strong. Then you can start to twist open. So we use that power, right, to create that freedom. Then maybe we even start to look up. Yeah. 1 more breath. Now control it as you inhale, come back. Warrior 1. Then the hands down to the floor. Control it. Step back, downward dog.
Move through one vinyasa. Nice, girl. Stay with it the whole time. Don't let anything get away. From downward dog, look forward. Bend your knees, step or jump between your hands. Swing your arms up, take a nice big reach. Maybe curl back that little bit. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands in front. Then bring the arms along the sides to Tadasana Mountain Pose. All right, so here we are. This is what we talked about. This tries to happen. So look what happens. Hyperextension, arches collapse, hyperextension in the knees, which means thighs are forward, right? Belly button forward. Here's our misalignment. I'm being a little dramatic, right? So we got to go this way. Arches, little micro bend, pull the energy up the legs. Yep. Now hold all this. Keep the energy from heel to butt to heel. So the hamstrings are pulling the sit bones down. Now pull the belly button in. That shit got a whole lot easier. Pull the shutters closed. Yep, you should be full on. Like my muscles are starting to quake a little bit. You should be feeling that. Yeah, we're putting them under tension. See, I'm squeezing. I'm hugging in. Yeah. Breathe. 2 more breaths. Yep. Feel the shake starting to happen? That's good. That's the time under tension. Now inhale the arms up. Maybe curl back that little bit. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands out to your sides. Now stay nice and tall since we got the space today, right? Breathe tall. Now as you twist to the right, you're going to counter twist your hips to the left. Because where do the twists happen? Above the waist. So if that right hip goes with us, right, that's going to be below the waist. So bring that right hip forward. Now keep breathing up. Yep, going a little bit deeper into the twist. 1 more breath. Inhale, come back to center. Take that breath, get nice and tall. Twist to the left. Counter twist your hips back to the right. Yeah, so left hip would go forward. I feel like this is one of the easier ways to feel that action. Inhale, come back to center. Next inhale, take the arms up. Bring the right hand behind your back. Bring the left hand to your elbow. Just like this, what's the misalignment? Just what we talked about. Even worse, because now we're in scapular retraction. Anytime your shoulder blades go this way, it causes this to happen. So it's a little bit of a challenge here, right, as we start to get into the upper back. Exhale, release. Inhale the arms up, swap. That's why you go slow, right, and let everything just peel naturally. If you force it, then we get into the negative. Then we got to correct that shit, right? So then it sometimes takes us twice to get this to go back in. Inhale it up. Exhale, fold. Now keep pulling your heels to your butt as you fold. Yeah, you don't let those hamstrings go. That's one of the things that stresses them. Stretching them up when they're not engaged. Now keep the engagement. Inhale, look forward. Yep. Now go ahead and fold into pose. If you're not sure, take your finger and poke the back of your leg like this and see if your hamstrings are engaged. If they're soft, they're not engaged. You should feel that there's like some tension there on them. Sometimes that little poke helps you feel your muscles. I do that to everybody downstairs. Like feel this, right? That's where you want to get this action here, that feeling in the back of the leg. You can look forward again. You can drag those fingers back towards your toes so the spine pulls forward. Maybe dive a little deeper. But feel again, did you lose those hamstrings? We got to keep them engaged. Sometimes you hear me say that's called an eccentric engagement. When the muscles are engaged as they lengthen, that shit's challenging. 1 more breath. Inhale, look forward. And exhale, fold. Take that right hand to the outside of the left calf. Then you can bring the hand to the fingertips, the block, the hip. Some of you are ready to reach up. Go ahead and reach up here on the twist. We've done a couple already, so they're getting a little bit better. Inhale, come back to center. Swap the hands. Fingertips. Block would be here. Hip would be here. Maybe reaching up. Looking up towards the sky. Inhale, come back to center. Next inhale, look forward. And exhale, fold. Bend the knees, place the hands, step or jump back, downward dog. Move through your vinyasa 3 times. So start to flow through a little bit here.
Stay with your breath.
Be able to start, be able to stop, and be able to hold.
And then after your third one, I'm on my third one now, but wherever you're at,
We'll meet back in downward dog. From downward dog, reach the right leg straight back, step it through, lunge. Spin the back heel, come up, bent arm to bent knee. Plug that arm in, sweep the bicep up along the cheek. If you're going to bring hand down to the block or the floor, feel free.
Now, pull the belly in first, so you open up the hip flexors. Now go sit bone the heel or sweep the heel so you open up the adductors. Yep.
Now maybe rotate open. And breathe. And then push into that front leg, inhale, come up. Take those hands behind your back, interlace the fingers, and bow to the inside of that right thigh, humble warrior. Keep looking towards that front left corner of your mat. Maybe start to take the arms up overhead, deepen the stretch a little bit here. Couple more breaths. And then exhale the hands down. Spin that back heel up, step back, downward dog. Take a breath. Reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. And then spin the back heel. Bring that bent arm to the bent knee.
Plug that right arm in as you sweep the bicep up along the cheek. Now pull the belly button in first. Yep. Now start to go sit bone to heel. That'll help, especially for those of us tight in those hip flexors, to neutralize that pelvis first, then start to work that external rotation. Maybe start to rotate open and breathe. One more breath. When you inhale, come up nice and tall. Swap the hand hold, so if left was under, right goes this time. And then you bow to the inside of that left thigh. Look to the front right corner of the mat so the spine stays long. Maybe even start to take the arms up overhead. And then back to the breath. One more. Now control it as the hands go down to the floor. Spin that back heel up, downward dog. Full breath in, complete breath out. Exhale, lower your knees. Child's pose, grab a drink, whatever feels good. You go back to the breath if you want, full breath in, complete breath out. So now we're going to hit a little therapeutic to clear the low back from the inside of the thighs, okay? So that's the one where we're going to start in child's pose, okay? So just stay up here for a second so I could show you all that. I've done this with, I think, almost all of you, but in case you haven't seen it. So I'm going to be here like this, all right? And here's my child's pose. And then I'm going to inhale, come up, and then I soften my pelvis down. And then inhale, push back up like all fours with my knees wide. And then I go back. All right, so it looks like this. Now I'm breathing dramatically so you could hear, right? So just breathe smoothly. So come on, let's give it a try. We'll all start back in child's pose. Now inhale, come up like all fours with your knees wide. Exhale, you're gonna soften your pelvis, so that means full control. Inhale, you're gonna push back up. Exhale, you're gonna push back. Keep it going, your breath. Now keep hugging your knees into the midline here. The stretch is gonna make them wanna feel like they're pulling away, but you gotta keep them engaged, right? So keep scissoring this way, like knees into the midline. Keep going, a few more. This has a lot of support, right? So you're holding up with your arms.
You're holding up with your legs. And then there's that control of softening the pelvis. And you feel a big stretch through here. One more. And then we'll meet back in child's pose. Just take a couple breaths here. Full breath in, complete breath out. And then when you're ready, inhale, come up, all fours, hands and knees. Pull the belly in, pull those shutters closed so we start in that nice low mountain. And take a couple breaths here. When you're ready, step back to plank. Back to downward dog. And then from downward dog, just move through one vinyasa when you're ready. Nice pace, y'all. Beautiful. Reach the right leg straight back, step it through, lunge. Exhale, lower the back knee. We're going to hit lizard, and we'll hit lizard into twisted monkey. Okay, so keep your blocks handy. So we're going to start with our right leg forward. Then we're going to walk our right foot to the edge of our mat, and we might even turn the toes open that little bit. It's going to make it a little more accessible here. Now, the pose is asymmetrical, right? But what I always see in this pose is this, where we dump into this left hip. So you got to keep dragging this back knee forward to hold this hip up. The little trick is, see if I lower my left elbow first, see how everything wants to dump to this side. So my little trick I show y'all is bring your right elbow down first, and it'll hold that left hip up a little bit easier, then let the left one come to meet it. Now, if you bring both elbows down to the floor at the same time, great. If the trick helps you, right, same great. It's just trying to bring the best out of, right, the best pose out of us. Now, the knee is either going to try to blow out the side, which is most likely what's going to happen, or it's going to collapse in. You want to get it to track as close to this ankle and the second toe as possible. All right, I know I've heard the thing like, you know, yoga says if your back knee's down, it's safe, it's okay for the front knee to wander a little bit. Alignment says it's best to keep it as close as possible, right? So yes, it can wander, but alignment still dictates as close as possible. Now, you want to get even fiery in the front of that left thigh, lift the knee up. Reach back out of the heel, and there it is. Now, the big opener in the back of the hip on the right side, pull your heel back to you, and then you get this opener back here. You might even feel this underneath, too, through those hamstrings a little bit. Now, exhale, lower the knee if it's up. Inhale, come up halfway. You're going to bend your left knee, reach back with your right hand. Grab your ankle, your foot, or your strap. So see what I do to keep my hamstring from firing sometimes? I just go back this way, right? Then I grab my foot, then I shift back forward. That'll make it a little more accessible. Now walk your left hand forward so your thumb's in line with your big toe. And take your left hand to the edge of your mat. Now turn your bicep forward so that you root the left shoulder back. Yeah, there's the kickstand. Now open the chest on the right side. Yup, there's the twist. Now pull the heel to the sit bone. Get the quad stretch. The twist is first here. The pose is a twist, right? Then we're going to start to extend the quad stretch by drawing the heel towards the sit bone. We're going to be here a couple more breaths, so take your time, settle into this. Keep dragging the left knee forward, but keep your left sit bone reaching back to the wall behind you. One more breath. Feel as you could draw that heel even closer to the sit bone. Now watch the boing as you release, and then inhale, come back to center, wiggle that foot back in. When you're ready, lift that back knee, step back, downward dog. Yeah, a lot, right? Pedal, swivel a little bit. Feel the difference. One side's like peeled and open. It feels light and airy, right? And the other side feels like, just a little heavier. Come to neutral, reach the left leg straight back, step it through, lunge. Let's balance that out. And then lower the back knee. And then we're going to take our left foot out to the left edge of our mat. We might even turn open a little bit. Most of us are going to turn open. And then our block will be close to us. See, here's that action. I got to pull the knee forward, and I got to reach the sit bone back. So if the front of your thigh is falling this way to the floor, wrong way. You got to go that way, like you're sticking your butt back. So now the trick is lower your left elbow first. There's a lot of shit, right, going on. No doubt. It's why we always say yoga's mindful, right? Because there is a lot of shit. But that's part of the game, right? You want to feel all this. Now keep looking forward. So you feel like your back wants to round, right? Like this. But you know we got to go the other way, so we're going to look this way. There's the spine starting to come back to life. Now, if I want to work the back leg a little bit more, or the front of that thigh, I'm going to lift the knee up. And then I reach the heel back, take it even a little bit further. And then I pull that front heel back to me, so then I can reach the knee forward. So even though the hip's deep in deep flexion on the left, I still want to create some organic expansion. A couple more breaths here. And then control it as you lower the back knee down, and then come up halfway. Then I'm going to bend my right knee and reach back with my left hand to grab my ankle, my foot, or my strap. Then I'm going to walk my right hand so that it's in line, the thumb's in line with my big toe, and it's to the edge of my mat. So here's the shoulder. See, it wants to do this. You got to go this way. Now I can lean back. Yeah. Now open the chest. There's the twist. Yep. Now start to draw the heel to the sit bone. But don't lose the knee pulling forward. Don't lose the belly button working to the spine. Don't lose the shutters closing. Don't lose reaching forward out of the crown of your head. Don't let the head fall to the floor. And then start playing with the quad stretch even deeper. Dragging the knee forward, pulling the belly button to the spine, drawing the heel to the sit bone. Couple more breaths. Whew. Now control it. As you release, come back to center. Wiggle that foot back in, right? Lift that back knee, step back, downward dog, and then just pedal or swivel a couple times here. And feel everything come to balance. Now you feel the front of those thighs, they both feel light. They're both airy. Come to neutral. Work through one vinyasa. Roll to the outside of the right foot, stack the left foot on top or in front, come in a side plank. So the quad stretch, Kapha-Jalasana, is going to be left knee to your chest. You grab your ankle, your foot, or your strap. Well, your ankle, your foot. You curl back. Your strap you'd have to have set, so keep that already. Now, it's kind of like you're falling back to Wild Thing, but you don't fall back. And now you start to kick the leg back. Curl into that right shoulder. Release the leg if it's there. Inhale, come back to plank. Push back, downward dog. So I'll show you the back side, the shoulder here. So see, I'm turning the bicep forward to root back. Then if I'm going to go Kapha-Jalasana, I'm going to hug the right knee to the chest, and I grab my ankle or my foot. See, here's where I curl back into that shoulder. Then I kick the leg back. Ugh. Release the leg if it's there. Woo. Inhale, come back to plank. Push back, downward dog. Reach the right leg straight back, step it through, pigeon. I've been into pigeon the past couple weeks here with y'all. So right away I mentioned to y'all that this is how I get into the pose, and then I take my hand and my foot right away, that little trick, and I move back kind of right in the beginning of the pose. Now that's what I need. Right? That just makes my knee feel better going in the pose because I'm moving back. If you need to hold a few breaths, hold a few breaths. Then if you want to move back, you know how to work it. Supine pigeon, if you need to go on your back at all, right? Go on your back. Do the pose that feels good to you. Now, take a couple breaths. Power up those legs and those hips. Charge up the upper trunk. And then if you want to fold, go ahead and fold. See, this is a collapse. Right? I didn't hold on to anything. I want to be here. If I'm going to go to my forearms, see, nice and controlled. Because if I go fast, I lose something, and then I have to build it again, right? That means I had to do it twice. That's not efficient, right? But sometimes that shit happens, and what do? You build it up twice. But if you can hold on to it, that's what we're gonna wanna be. Now take a couple breaths here and keep looking out in front of you. Now we're in the back of the hip here, opening up the back of the leg. Now this twist is a little bit, it's interesting. It goes against the oblique sling, right? So you're gonna kind of twist away from the lead leg. That would be the oblique sling. So really we would twist this way in human movement, right? But this twist goes the other way. So if you wanna work the twist, you come up halfway here, right? And you're gonna take your right hand, you're trying to put your elbow either in front of your foot or into the sole of your foot, right? So I get tall first. I breathe. Then I open the side body, right? See what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to lengthen all this. So now when I twist, I could bring my elbow to my foot or in front of my foot. One's a lot better than the other. Now let the left hand meet Anjali Mudra and push the hands together. You're gonna push your right elbow into your foot or into the floor. It's gonna lift you up. Now look forward. Now start to open your chest towards the sky. Yes. Nice, y'all. And then inhale, come back to center. Place the hands, lift the hips, unwind that right leg, reach it back to where the ceiling and the wall meet. Breathe. And then take a breath, lower that right leg. Reach the left leg straight back, step it through, pigeon. So here's one of those instances, right? We always want that knee nice and wide to the edge of the mat, the left one. If the knee is in this way, right, it's going to mess with us linking up the pose into the twist, right? So keep that knee nice and wide. The intensity of the pose is determined by how close your shin is to parallel with the front of the mat. So if you're real tight here, it's better to have your knee wide, but just have the shin back this way, right? See, the width won't change anything here. Then you can work on moving yourself back to go deeper in the pose. And then if you want to go into the fold, go for it. If you want to stay up in the prep, it's like staying up here. And if you want to go for the fold, it's just working down towards the floor a little more. Not a right or wrong. What's wrong here is me dumping all the weight just down in my arms. Right? I got to keep it in my legs and in my hips here. I got to keep it working through my spine. I got to work the back of my neck. If I don't, this is what it looks like. This is getting me nowhere. All this is doing is reinforcing misalignments. Right? Up here is where I'm working to open that line up. All right, now come up halfway if you want to work the twist. If you're holding pigeon, stay here. Then I take my left hand and I go across my body, and then either in front of the foot, a little more accessible, sole of the foot, a little more challenging, but then I push the hands together. And then I root down into that left elbow into my foot. And I look forward, so I lengthen the spine. And as I twist open, I reach the back heel back. I reach the crown of my head forward. I keep twisting and opening my chest to the sky. One more breath. And then inhale, come back to center. Place the hands down, take a breath. When you're ready, lift the hips, unwind that left leg, reach it back to where the ceiling and the wall meet. And then exhale, lower it down. Work through one vinyasa. From downward dog, look forward, bend your knees, step or jump between your hands, swing your arms up, take a nice big reach. Curl back into this. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands in front. All right, grab your mats, find a spot on the wall. We'll go upside down. If you're at home, you don't have the wall to kick up on, you just lay on your mat. Interlace your hands behind your thighs. You reach one heel to the sky. You take a bunch of breaths, and then you can swap into side two. If you're at home or in the studio, it's not your day to invert. You know you're always welcome to go legs up the wall or do a pose that feels good to you, okay? I'll talk everyone through downward dog and L pose, and then you can work your handstands, your headstands, your tripods, your pinches, anything you want to work. You could do tripod to twisted crow, okay? You could do wide-legged
fold to tripod to twist. So there's a few different things you can play with in your inversions to put a twist into it as well. Okay? So if you want to go on your own whenever you're ready, if you're going to stick with me, let's go all fours, hands and knees, feet are touching the wall in that low mountain where we started out. And I'll talk you into downward dog and L pose. And take a couple breaths here in that low mountain. When you're ready, lift the knees and the hips, come to a short downward dog. And then step 1 foot up the wall, and then the second foot up the wall. Nice, huh? I was like, whoa. Actually, we're about to do overhead therapeutics today. I got a couple of things for you, so you can warm up to that. So I know you want to do that, so I brought you a couple of things today, actually, speaking of it. Yeah, we'll do some of that. So here's where I would be, right? I'd set myself up. Okay. I'm in my wide-legged fold, right? I come to my tripod. Right now, when I come up, I'm going to keep my legs wide. See, I'm plugging shoulders back. Then when my legs are wide, I can rotate here and twist. And I come back. And I rotate side 2. This shit's tough because it's upside down. I can't figure out which way my legs have to go. I feel like this one has to go up and this one has to go down.
You were right.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Ah! Then whenever you come up, I showed you all this last week. If your head's on the floor, you take one hand on your forehead and the other hand on the back of your head. And when you come up, you hold your head like this. And then you just let your head, I always go this way, chin down, so I lengthen all those vertebrae, and then I let my head go. And that'll just take it'll let your neck start to take the pressure, the neutral pressure again, right, in case something tried to jump in there. Give yourself about another 30 seconds or so. If you want to invert, go for it. Right, and that's why yoga is always going to give you another challenge, right? We talk about it all the time. You work hard for something, and then yoga's like, oh, so you could do tripod? Okay, now try to do it with a twist that you can't even see, right? You have to feel. That's the game. Remember, nobody said yoga was easy. We just say that it's fun, right? So it makes it a little more accessible and makes you want to get into it a little bit more. Nice, y'all. Now, in our back bends, okay, the idea here is you want to keep that neutral pelvis. So in supported bridge, when you take the block on the sacrum, that's going to hold that neutral position for you. So if you want to try that, you're taking the block. We tend to go low and middle, but I know some of you go high. I go high sometimes, so you could set it up this way. And you want to be right on your sacrum, so the block of your pelvis. So I would take the brick, and I'm going to put it here underneath my sacrum, right? And you can see how now it's holding me up, but it's holding my sacrum up to the, lifting me up. So now I can pull belly button to spine, and I got this really solid connection here. This is what I don't want. See this? This is my sit bones going towards the mat and my belly button going towards the sky, and now my sacrum's off the block. I'm going to go sacrum to block, belly button to spine. Watch my sit bones. Here's my heels. Here's the back of my knees. See, this might be too much right now. But see how I'm neutralizing this to keep my lumbar safe. Come on, let's try it. So if you want to work the brick, work the brick. If you're going to start with bridge, we're going to start down, but we're going to start with that neutral pelvis. So the sacrum's going to be flat.
Belly to spine, sit bones to the backs of the heels. Head and shoulders are back. If you take your fingers, you cannot get them under your sacrum, but you can just squeeze them, and I mean just squeeze them underneath your lumbar. Just the slightest space. Now here we go. Charge those legs up. When you're ready, slowly lift your hips. If you lift your hips and your knees start to go out to the side, you're getting into that low back, so you got to be careful of that. You want the knees to go this way, in and down. So if you took a block between your thighs, you're trying to shoot the block down to the floor. So see how low I put the block in my thighs? If I put it high, all I'm going to do is get adduction, like hug to the midline. But if I take it low, now I can internally rotate my thighs, and I'm clearing that low back. Now stay with the belly button. Take those sit bones towards the backs of the knees. Take the shoulders under a little bit deeper. Don't lose the belly. Don't lose the shutters. Now gently push the feet forward, and there's that back bend, nice and deep, high in that middle upper back. And the lumbar, nice and clear. Now stay engaged as you lower down. Take the feet wide. Let the knees touch. So think about what we're doing here. When our feet are wide and our knees are touching, we're narrowing what? The front or the back body? The front body, right? So that means the back body's doing what? Widening. So we're opening up the area that we just back bend in, so that if we have anything, right, this is why we do this, to then clear that open. Come on, try again. Inhale, open the knees, reset the feet. I'll talk you in a wheel, those that want to go deeper. Start with the neutral pelvis. I don't ask y'all to do neutral pelvis all the time because it's easy, right? It's super challenging, but this is what you got to feel. Now when you charge the legs, you pull it up the upper trunk. You feel the head and the shoulders root back. Maybe even take the shoulders under deeper. And then when you're ready, slowly lift the hips. Now you feel where that neutral space is. If I lift too high, right, I'm shooting the thighs forward and I'm narrowing that low back. I don't want that. So I keep that neutral space. I keep the internal rotation of the thighs. Maybe I lift the heels to lengthen the curve a little bit more. If you want to place your hands wide, place your hands wide. Plug those shoulders back, belly to spine, sit bones of the backs and the knees, shutters closed. As you push down, come up. That's how you keep your lumbar spine safe in a back bend. One more breath. Then stay engaged as you lower down. Take the feet wide. Let the knees touch. Yep. And there's that widening then in the back body. And then hands to cactus or field goal here. And then open your knees and just windshield wiper side to side. Next time the knees fall to the right, let them settle. Pull the left heel to the sit bone. There's that lateral quad stretch. This one right here, the one that's on the outside, to be closest to your IT band. Belly's in, shutters closed. Inhale, come back to center. Let the knees fall to the left. Pull that right heel to your right sit bone. Belly's in, shutters are closed. Sit bones towards like the backs of your knees. And when you do that, you should feel your lumbar spine start to fill in. It should feel good. Inhale, come back to center. Take the legs out straight, reach the arms up overhead. And hug those knees to your chest. And then with your knees bent, lower your feet to the floor. Inhale your right leg up, cross it nice and tight over your left. Then let your hips go to the right a little bit as your knees fall to the left. Then breathe up above the waist and root back into that right shoulder. You can even look away from your bent knees. This is that functional line you hear me talk about all the time. It's like your lat to your glute to that lateral quad. Inhale, come back to center. Unwind that top leg. And we'll swap side two. This would be like the action of throwing something. That's the fascial line we're working on. Then the hips go to the left. That's just to keep you on your own mat. And then let the knees settle towards the right. Keeping that left shoulder rooted. If that left shoulder peels up, breathe up above the waist and root back down into it. split the space at the waist. Couple more breaths here. Nice twist. And inhale, come back to center. Unwind the legs, take them out straight. Reach the arms up overhead, take a big stretch here. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. And hug your knees to your chest. Take your knees nice and wide. From the happy baby. Insides of the thighs here again, back of the hip one more time. And you can rock side to side. If you want to get into the back of the legs again, reach your legs out straight. Remember, I talked to y'all earlier in class and I said, you know, we're probably going to do a few less hamstring openers so we can engage and start to like tension those hamstrings. So we only did a couple today, but if you want to get into the back of the legs again, that's how you do it. And then when you're ready, inhale the knees to center, exhale the legs out straight. We'll take Shavasana. Beautiful practice, crew. Feel free to add or remove layers or props. I'm going to talk everyone through laying flat. Now, to clear your low back, what you do is you lift your butt up and you take your hands to your butt and you push it, the fleshiness, towards your heels. And then you place your butt back on the floor, on the mat. And you're going to feel this nice settling come over the sacrum, like the top of the pelvis, and the lumbar spine. You take the shoulders under just a little bit. Let the arms come up to the side here. Let the belly draw to the spine just a little bit. We're not fifth gear pedal to the metal. We're just kind of like first gear. We're rolling. Let the head rest back. And maybe let the eyes close. And allow the tongue to soften from the roof of the mouth as the body gets heavy. As the mind softens and gets light. And as the heart opens. Here's where we collect the practice, right? Shavasana. Body's gathering everything, all those feelings, the actions, and what happened from the action. What was the result? Because we're going to apply that, not just next time we come to the mat, but we're going to apply it in the yoga of life. The way that we move through our day, the way we reach and we bend and we twist, the energies that we express, the energies we're willing to receive, the change that we make. This is where it finds its root and its foundation. And we express it in the steps of our day. Begin here to draw in a deeper breath. The breath washes over the body. It's from your toes to your fingers, the crown of your head to your heart. We reawaken that better version of ourselves. The fingers and the toes wiggle, the arms and the legs stretch or reach, move in a way that feels good to us. When you're ready, you can hug your knees to your chest and just roll to the right side. Push your hands down as we come up to a seated position. We'll meet together with our eyes closed, our hands in front of our hearts. Taking your time, moving slowly, consciously. And one more time to seal in our practice. Our time together with our Kula, our yoga family. Together, the sound of Om. All together, deep breath in. Om.
Beautiful. As we softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. For all of that hard work and that determination, that challenge, the love and the support you always give each other, it's to you that I bow. Namaste. Thanks, crew. Good to see everyone. You know, if you have any questions, get me before you go. Something feels weird. Tomorrow, Emma will be with y'all, and then I'll be back on Saturday morning. All right. Y'all need me, hit me up. Otherwise, I'll see y'all soon. Thanks, crew.